Welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shabani Gharat. Group M India released its this year, next year report highlighting that advertising expenditure forecast for 2023 and the largest media investment group in the country predicts a rupees 20,000 crore of incremental ad spend in the year 2023 compared to 2022. The report also speaks about the continued growth and potential of the Indian advertising industry and the opportunities it presents for the advertisers. The report highlights a 15.5% increase in ad spends in India, reaching rupees 1,46,450 crore in 2023. India has moved up to the 8th position globally in ad spends and continues to be the fastest growing market in the top 10 markets worldwide. To tell us more, we are speaking with Group M South Asia CEO Prashant Kumar. Prashant, 1,46,450 crore rupees ad spend in India in 2023. Can you tell us what are the factors driving this kind of growth?
We are seeing actually all media growing in 23 as our estimates. Digital is obviously at a pace of 20% growth. We are also seeing TV grow about 9 and print and radio also growing at a reasonable 1% single digit growth, right? If you look at the source of business on this, I think multiple categories. I think categories like FMCG, we are seeing them coming back and spending the money. Fintech is one of the category. BFSI is one of the category. Auto also we see an impetus of spends coming in 23 as our estimates. We also look at the SME side of the business, and it's quite interesting to see that how SME is also shaped up, because that's also the long tail clients and SME business have actually helped a good growth in the past 2 years, right? We see that continuing, right, in 23 as well. So these are some of the key reasons where we are seeing the source of business coming.
Okay, so against the backdrop of economic crisis, concerns around big tech, isn't it an optimistic outlook or prediction for the year from Group M?
Frankly, it's a reasonable growth here. I mean, I would like to put it as a reasonable standard.
Yeah.
If you look at it, we actually grew by, we estimated 22 to grow by about 22%. But we have closed the year at 22 with 15.7%, and we're sensing that it'll grow at similar levels. And the reason why those spends actually, the growth actually reduced is mainly because of the geopolitical reasons, as well as some inflation growth which is happening, and therefore spends actually getting impacted. We also had some of the startup tech system growth actually getting impacted last year, right? And last year onwards, tightening of these ropes on ad spends on startup tech, entire ecosystem has been there. And that's why the percentage growth probably reduced to about close to 15.7 last year. We see this year, actually, some of the inflation challenges have got reduced. So some of the categories will actually end up spending more. There are some categories from essentially from the tech side also coming and spending more money. In fact, some of the startup companies have to continue to spend, because if they have to continue to gain consumers as well as maintain the business model. What is going to be different is maybe we'll have an inverse situation like from last year to this year. That is, we had a good first half last year and very challenging second half last year. We may have an inverse aspect happening in 23 on that.
Why do you say that? Why? What will be the reason for the inverse?
Couple of reasons. I think one of the key reasons on the second half being lesser is because for the known reasons that house spends got tightened up. But it takes time for categories to come back and look at reshape the spends, right? And that's why I'm saying almost 4 to 6 months it may take, right? And as a reflection from a mathematical, perspective, I think second half is a much more promising, half in 23 probably, right? And that's so it's a reasonable growth. I mean, it's not like, digital is taking a larger share of money from the incremental growth which is happening, right? And that's also because of how digital has been an opportunity for many of the SME businesses, right? Many of the long tail businesses, right? Now, if you look at the business from an overall perspective, it's not just anymore an organized sector, right? Close to about 40% of the business, 38% of the business is actually SME business today. On digital, the source of business for SME could be as close to 65% of the business for digital, right? But from an overall perspective, I'm saying close to 38% is SME business from an overall ADEX. Now, what is that share of business coming, right, is something which we need to look at from different medium perspective. So I would say it's a reasonable growth, right? We're talking about TV, which is 9%. I'm not saying it's a pessimistic growth. I'm not saying it's an optimistic growth. It's a reasonable growth. Because we thought it's going to be a very optimistic growth in 22 in the beginning, which was at 22% growth, which didn't happen, right? So when I look at that, from a different seasonal standpoint, from category standpoint, from different play of organized sector and SME sector playing in, I think it's a very reasonable growth from that context.
PK, overall, when you see or speak to like marketers, to brand strategists, uh, the key phrase that that we hear more often these days, it's cautious optimism, cautiously optimistic. What's your outlook? That's the outlook for 2023.
I don't think we should hurry up and conclude that everything is over and we're back to some steady, fast, improved growth. I think there is still learning going on, right? And therefore, there is still progress happening, and there is a optimism on the growth as well. But I would say it's an observation from both sides. I don't think we should conclude faster to say that things have changed and all challenges are over. It's not the case anymore. I think there is evolution happening even now. I think it is going to be progressive. The shape of growth is going to be maybe different from what we saw earlier, right? So those are the things that I think we are, relating now, right? And because many people tried multiple things, right, in the last 2 to 3 years, there were challenges across, not only from from the aspect of pandemic, but related aspects, different cost issues, a derivative issue, but geopolitical, nobody expected that to happen in this form, right? But that leading into many other challenges like this. So that is where the caution and therefore, the opportunities which comes along with this also is where the optimism on progressive growth is also happening, right? So that's how we are also sensing from clients, right? I think it is.
What are their key concerns, if you can share those?
No, the main concern primarily is in terms of the cost is one, right? Because cost has gone up. Some of the concerns is that how could we make a great consumerism to relate into more consumption from that context, right? I think value growth is something which we are seeing, but how can you get volume growth happen on that, right? I think there are multi-models of business which are there today, right? I mean, you have a regular distribution business, you have an e-commerce business, and you have a T2C business. So what are the different roles on how it can play, right? So all of this is actually bringing, it's not a concern, but these are again, to me, it's again challenges, not just challenges, but opportunities also, right? And that's how it's being played on.
So during the conference, you mentioned that January was challenging and February was better for the business. If you can share, how are Group M agencies faring overall in 2023? What is the outlook or the prediction?
So it's just been a month now.
Yeah.
And
what is your prediction for the agencies?
I think we will be, we are in a very, not just cautious, we are in an optimistic sense, right? What we understand is that I think we have a role to play, not just deep but wider, right? Today it's not just about, I think our offering is not just only in the media planning and buying. I think it's across a series of marketing solutions that we can offer to clients. And we see also on the client side that there are it's not anymore only media investment. It's also investments related to marketing and media, right? I mean, investing from a technology perspective on first party data is something which is helping them to look at how effectiveness is working or how efficiently it can be, right? And we have an offer on that, we're developing on those, we're evolving on that. So we have been busy at that, right? I think last 2 years have been the most exciting phase. And I said this way back in 2020, yeah, it is unfortunate pandemic is hit, but it's also fortunate that we are going to be in this phase where a lot of new things will come into life to learn, to experiment and continue with that. I think all our brands, we have also quite busy in consolidation. We have been busy with finding and launching new products, new services, etc. That is going to get in play, and we have seen that already happening in the month of Jan. It has been challenging. It's not that it's not been challenging. But I think it's also given birth to try different products, different services, etc., across different categories, different markets, all of that, right? We have been fortunate that a lot of our brands, a lot of our agencies have won some new businesses, right? So all of this is a mixed play, right? And definitely we're looking for a good 23.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Not at all. Thank you, Shivani.
It is time for